The Showdown effect, the story started when Arrowhead had wrapped up Magica. And I met with them and we had a long sit down, and we might have consumed some beverages during this long sit down, and we had a discussion about what to do next. And as with all discussions with all game developers, we started complaining about how games aren't as good as they used to be and how things were better back in the days. And the days being the 90s in our case. And we talked about the fun kind of games we played during the late 90s that can't be found on PC anymore because they've kind of moved on to a console space. We started talking about what we could do, and I had written an old concept called Shoot, which I showed to the Arrowhead guys, and they loved it, and they took it and changed it, and we updated it, and that's what then became the Showdown effect. And the Showdown effect is essentially a 2.5D online action brawler, shooter, stabber, meme-a-thon simulator, basically. It could be, the most direct description is, imagine Worms in real time, but with movie characters from the 80s and 90s. And it's all about not killing your friends, but killing them in the coolest possible method.
It's just been with both.
You essentially start off by choosing a stereotypical character. The game features 6 of them, and you then select 2 weapons, and each weapon has a number of different skins. So you could have a bazooka, or that bazooka could be a ram bow with explosive tip, for instance. And then you dress up your character in a bucket, bionic legs, and maybe a ninja outfit, or maybe you have a red cape where you might be dressed up in a knight's armor. And then you just jump into the match, and we have 2 environments, and we have 2 levels in each environment. And it's a Neo-Tokyo environment, and one is set in medieval England. And basically then you and up to 7 other players just duke it out in this online environment across 3 different game modes. Team-based and free-for-all game modes. And you have to get as many kills as possible and do it in creative ways. Gameplay-wise, it's similar to maybe Smash Brothers, but with miniguns. And I think that Sony also has equivalent on their side, basically. But this is the kind of game that you don't see on PC anymore. We moved on. There was a game in the late 90s called Soldat that was fairly close to that, and also another game called Hunter Hunted. Exactly. It's all about jumping, running, sliding, throwing yourself through a glass plate window and grabbing somebody and slamming them into the ground, and then impaling them with a sword, and your character will say "stick around" or something stupid like that. So, and then each character also has a weapon, an item slot, which is for a special item, like a personal shield or a health pack or stuff like that. And that's a power that regenerates. And then each character has a unique ability as well. I mentioned that we have 3 game modes, but we also have kind of a 4th game mode, which is we have custom rules. And this is very similar, again, to the 90s GoldenEye. GoldenEye had, in the multiplayer session, a number of different rule sets. You could decide if you want to play with pistols only or rocket launchers only, and it works the same way in the Showdown effects. This was a game that we just made this game thinking this would be the kind of game that we would like to play during the weekends with our friends while having a LAN party, or if we're at a big LAN or whatever. You play your StarCraft matches, you have a great time, but losing at StarCraft isn't that fun. So let's make a game that's fun at winning, but also fun at losing. It's while you lose. So it's one of those games that we think that it has a lot of competitive features, but it's not a competitive game. But I think that a lot of competitive gamers will enjoy it, and it's a fun, very simple brawler in that way. But it has a lot of depth to it anyway. We decided that it couldn't just be fun to play, but it also had to be fun to watch, because we know that at the end of the games, we end up in situations where just 2 players are left and they're trying to duke it out, and the other 6 players are just looking at them and just watching the cool final moments of the game. And since we knew we were building those kind of moments, when we heard that Twitch TV was building an SDK, I immediately thought, you know what, this is perfect for the Showdown effect. Let's just integrate that in and let every player just with a single press of a button start broadcasting their matches. So as we roll out the beta, that will be integrated into the game, and players can just stream the gameplay and the kills.
Ooh, nice D.
Arrowhead has a very important design principle whenever they design anything, and their main rule is that a game for everyone is a game for no one. So that's kind of a non-compromising attitude that they have, is that if there are two ways to do something, and one way is the path that most people take, or they know that it will appeal to more people, while the other one will perhaps be more fun, but it won't appeal to everyone, they'll do the latter. They'll prefer to do stuff that some people might not like, but it's very unique in its own sense. From the get-go, we tried a version where you didn't have to aim directly on the enemy characters. Just pointing in the right direction meant that the bullet trajectory would probably connect with your enemy. But once we changed that, it became much more of a skill-based thing, and it also meant that it brought down the tempo of the matches. You couldn't just kill people just by standing at the end of the hallway and just unloading your M60, right? So it became a natural fit. We looked again at Smash Brothers, and what happens in Smash Brothers is that you have two characters that approach each other, and then they exchange blows and blocks, and they just fight and dance around each other, and then they disengage, and then they engage again. And we wanted to have that kind of dance of death, where you just run in, exchange blows, and then back off, maybe you bandage for a bit, and then you attack again. So it's a very fluid back and forth kind of thing, almost reminiscent of some of the fighting scenes in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, where they're jumping across the stuff. It sounds silly, but we were really going for that kind of flow in the gameplay, and that's where it came back. And the aiming mechanics really tie into that, and it worked in a great way.
10-4. Like to remain.
Almost every aspect of the game is over the top. Like everything characters say, all the size of the weapons, the amount of ammo, the muzzle flashes, everything is over the top. So like immediately we were like, of course you can block bullets. Like why wouldn't you? So you might even have a pillow, and a pillow will be as good as deflecting a bullet as a rocket or a sword, because it's a weapon, right? And you can kill people with that. So they spent a lot of time with just making sure that stuff's exaggerated. We're starting the beta signups in the next week, so that's around the 19th of December. Then the beta will start in January and run through February, and we're launching the game in March at $9.99 on Steam for PC and Mac. And from that point on, it's up to the gamers what we do next. They tell us if they want more team modes, if they want more weapons, more characters, everything, and we'll build a lot of stuff. So the game will feature an in-game store that has a bunch of free stuff from the launch, and then we'll add stuff as we go along. And as with all Arrowhead games, as we add content, some will be free, other things will be paid for, and always we make sure not to exclude anyone from the community. So if we release maps, they will always be free, so people can always take part of all the content. And even if you don't own the DLC, you can always play on the maps as long as somebody else is hosting. People need to play it and tell us what's OP and what isn't, and we'll find a balance between all those things. And the fun thing about balancing, and this is a fun story from the QA session, is that we have a number of pistols in the game. All the pistols just happen to have the exact same stats, right? But they look different. So we sent it to the QA department, and we got tons of bugs saying that, okay, the Glock is way too overpowered. They just were complaining, and they were like, it's so imba, but because they tried playing pistols only. And we were like, guys, they're all the same. So, and that's something that you notice, because we talk a lot to the fans and players on the forums, and people are always complaining about balance, right? But what's actually in balance and what isn't, it's hard to gauge. But from Magicka, we patched the game so many times, and we did so many balance changes, and we'll do a lot of balance changes for this game as well. And I'm hoping that in the custom game modes, you'll be able to tweak the values yourself. I think that just like in the same manner that if you talk to different communities of friends and gamers, you notice that everyone had their own set of GoldenEye custom rules that they played when their favorites, right? And I think that people will find their favorites as well. Pistols only, rockets only. I personally love stuff that explodes. So I want rocket launchers, grenade launchers, stuff like cluster bombs. Like, I love the banana bomb in the game. if people liked multiplayer games in the 90s, they're gonna enjoy this game.